Most people are told from the very beginning, if a man is already committed, married, or otherwise tied to someone else, the only acceptable move is to step back, accept his circumstances, and hope that someday he might change his mind. It sounds sensible, even noble. But this advice misses a powerful and often uncomfortable truth about human nature. Men don't always choose partners based on loyalty or logic. They choose based on emotional pull, on the place where something inside them feels awake, alive, and deeply seen. This isn't about manipulation, games, or trying to steal someone. It's about understanding the psychology of male desire, and how attraction operates far beneath words and promises. Commitment on paper does not erase attraction. A man who feels seen, stirred, and inspired, in a way he hasn't for years, may begin questioning everything else in his life. This shift isn't created by begging, proving, or persuading. It is created by presence, mystery, and confidence, qualities that reach beneath his conscious mind and spark desire in places even he can't fully explain. The first mistake many women make when they encounter a man who is emotionally unavailable or tied to someone else is the instinct to convince. They explain their worth, showcase their devotion, or demonstrate their loyalty, in hopes that eventually he'll see it and choose them. On the surface, this feels like dedication and even romance. In reality, it produces the opposite effect. Convincing never awakens desire. Persuasion rarely changes hearts. Pressure causes people to cling to what they already have, even if that situation no longer excites them. Think of your own experience. When someone tries too hard to sell you on an idea, a product, a belief, a relationship, do you lean in or do you instinctively pull away? Attraction doesn't grow in an atmosphere of pressure. It grows in an atmosphere of freedom, curiosity, and space. When a man feels cornered into a decision, he will retreat to the safety of his current life. Not because it is necessarily better, but because it feels less suffocating in that moment. Here's the paradox. When you stop trying to convince, you create curiosity. You create space for him to imagine, to feel, and to choose. And choices made freely are the only choices that truly last. The woman who does not try to prove her value with words forces him to feel her value without words. It's in that gap, in the silence and mystery, that his mind begins to circle back to her. He begins to see her not as an option, but as an answer. This brings us to the power of silence. Most women panic when a man grows distant. They flood the gap with messages, reassurance, and energy, hoping to pull him back closer. But psychology reveals a more counterintuitive truth. Silence can have more weight than words. It creates space, tension, and reflection. It forces him to notice the absence of your attention, something he may have been taking for granted. When you stop flooding him with constant presence, he notices. He starts wondering where your attention went and why he no longer feels it pouring into him. That wondering is the seed of desire, because desire doesn't live in what is always available. It lives in what is rare, unpredictable, and meaningful. Silence isn't about punishing him or playing childish games. It's about balance, showing that your life has its own rhythm, that your time and attention carry weight. A woman who does not rush to fill every empty space radiates confidence. She shows independence. She demonstrates that her world doesn't revolve around him. That kind of energy is magnetic. Sometimes the most powerful way to pull a man closer is to step back, because silence creates mystery. Mystery creates craving. The woman who knows how to be quiet at the right moment is often the one who speaks the loudest in his mind. Mystery itself is one of the strongest currents of attraction. Men do not always choose the woman who makes the most sense on paper. They choose the woman who makes them feel something they can't fully explain. An electricity that bypasses logic. Mystery is the catalyst for that electricity. When you don't reveal everything about yourself too soon, you leave space for him to imagine, to wonder, and to crave more. Predictability dulls the spark. If he already knows exactly what you'll say, what you'll do, and how you'll react, then the tension disappears. But when you move with depth and carry layers he hasn't yet discovered, his mind can't stop circling back. He replays moments, searches for meaning, and wants to explore more. This isn't about playing a role or pretending to be someone you're not. It's about guarding your essence, and allowing him to earn deeper access to your world over time. Attraction isn't built in the comfort of what's fully known. It's built in the fire of curiosity, in the spaces that make him lean forward and pay attention. When you maintain a sense of individuality, he recognizes your life is not a script designed to please him. It's a living, breathing story in which he must earn a place. That alone creates a powerful emotional pull. Many women have been taught that the way to win a man is through constant availability, canceling plans, rearranging schedules, replying instantly, and making sure he knows you're always ready. On the surface, that seems like loyalty. In reality, it erases the tension that fuels attraction. When a man senses you are permanently accessible, he stops reaching. There is no urgency, no risk, no fire. Desire grows in what feels uncertain, in what could be lost. Think of a rare flower that only blooms once a year. People travel miles to see it because it is scarce and special. Now imagine if it bloomed every single day, everywhere. No one would treasure it. The same is true of your attention. If it's always available, always instant, always guaranteed, it becomes background noise. Scarcity gives your presence its power. Being too available also sends a subtle but dangerous message that your world revolves around him. Nothing drains attraction faster than this imbalance. A man does not crave what he feels he already owns. He craves what feels luminous, independent, and alive on its own. He wants to feel that your life has meaning with or without him, because that depth is what gives your presence its weight. This creates a paradox. The more you try to prove your devotion by being constantly present, the less valuable your presence becomes. You become predictable, like a song played on repeat. But when silence falls, when you step back, your presence suddenly feels electric again. Your absence is the silence that gives your music its impact. Protect your time. Protect your attention. Let him notice when you're not there, because in that gap, he begins to crave you again. Not because you've manipulated him, but because desire is born in scarcity, not abundance. As you embody these qualities, presence without pressure, silence with dignity, mystery without pretense, and independence without apology, something profound happens. You begin to choose yourself. You stop orienting your life around whether he notices, whether he chooses, whether he stays. You begin to radiate an energy that says, I am whole, and you may be part of my life, but you are not the center of it. That energy is magnetic. It's the beginning of confidence, which we'll explore in greater depth next. Confidence isn't loud or abrasive. It's quiet, grounded power. The certainty of your worth. It's the knowing that your value doesn't rise or fall because of his attention or his hesitation. When you move from this place, you become unforgettable. Not because you're trying to be, but because confidence, mystery, and independence awakens something in him that words cannot. He begins to feel alive, challenged, inspired. He begins to sense that he could lose you. And that fear, the fear of loss, jolts him awake in a way no speech ever could. This is not manipulation. This is nature. Humans don't treasure what they assume is permanent. They treasure what they sense could vanish. And when you stop being permanently available, you send the clearest signal possible. You are rare. You are valuable. You are not to be taken for granted. This shift, from convincing to embodying, from chasing to choosing yourself, is the foundation of becoming the woman who leaves a mark deeper than vows, deeper than promises, deeper than logic. Confidence is the quiet force that turns everything you've just learned into lived reality. It's not a pose. It's not arrogance. It's not pretending not to care. Confidence is the steady flame of knowing your own worth. It's walking into a room without needing to be the loudest voice, because your energy already speaks. A confident woman does not obsess over every message or panic at every silence. She doesn't fold at the first sign of hesitation. She holds steady, knowing that her value doesn't change simply because someone can't see it in a moment. She doesn't need a man's approval to validate her existence. She already has her own. Think of the people who remain unforgettable in your own life. They might not have been the most beautiful or the most popular, but something about them radiated self-belief. They moved with an inner steadiness that felt unshakable. That presence was magnetic. Men are drawn to that energy because it signals strength, stability, and self-respect. And here's the deeper truth. Confidence doesn't just change how he sees you. It changes how he feels about himself when he's with you. A man in the presence of a confident woman feels elevated. He feels more capable, more alive, more masculine. He starts to crave not only her attention, but the version of himself he becomes when she's near. This is why confidence is so powerful. It creates a context where he associates you with his highest self, not his smallest fears. Confidence also sets boundaries without a single word. It communicates, I don't chase, I don't beg. If you want me, rise to meet me. Boundaries like these don't push men away. They draw men forward. They separate those who are serious from those who are simply curious. They reveal who is willing to invest and who is only playing. Think of it like gravity. When your center of self-worth is strong, people orbit you. They adjust to your energy. They respect your time. They consider your needs. When your center is weak, you end up orbiting them. You shrink, contort, and compromise, hoping to be chosen. And yet the more you contort, the less attractive you feel, to yourself and to them. The irony is that many women believe confidence is something you put on to make a man like you. In truth, it's the opposite. Confidence is what grows. When you stop living for his approval and start living for your own joy. It's not about wearing the right clothes, saying the right lines, or mastering the perfect pause. It's about building a life so rich and grounded that any man who wants to be part of it must bring his best self to the table. When you are grounded in this way, your energy shifts. Your messages aren't desperate. Your silences aren't manipulative. Your boundaries aren't threats. They're simply the natural expression of a person who values herself. This energy is impossible to fake for long. It comes from living as though your own growth, your own passions, and your own dreams are non-negotiable. Confidence also transforms how you handle uncertainty. When a man pulls back, the insecure response is to chase, demand answers, or spiral into self-doubt. The confident response is to hold steady, breathe, and continue living your life. This steadiness signals that you are not dependent on his validation. You are not defined by his distance, and that makes your presence exponentially more attractive. Why? Because a man senses the difference between someone who needs him to choose her and someone who has already chosen herself. The first feels like a weight on his shoulders. The second feels like a current pulling him towards something alive. This leads to another essential dynamic. Letting him feel he could lose you. Nothing shakes a man's certainty like the possibility of loss. As long as he believes you'll always be there, forgiving, waiting, answering, he has no urgency to act. But the moment he senses your attention is slipping, something primal wakes up inside him. We don't treasure what we assume is permanent. We treasure what we fear could vanish. If he knows you'll always forgive, always wait, always answer, he has no reason to fight for you. But when you stop waiting, when you reclaim your energy, when you show him your life moves forward with or without him, he begins to panic. What if she moves on? What if another man sees her worth? What if I lose her for good? These questions echo in his mind. And it's not only desire they awaken, it's regret. And regret is a force that cuts deeper than attraction itself. Letting him feel he could lose you isn't about punishment. It's not about games. It's about reality. You are not guaranteed. You are not an endless resource. You are rare, and rarity demands respect. Think of it like a precious jewel. If it's left unguarded on a sidewalk, anyone can pick it up and toss it aside. But if it's displayed carefully, protected, admired from a distance, people will fight to earn the right to hold it. You are that jewel. If you give yourself freely to someone who hesitates, he won't see your worth. But if you step back, he feels the loss before it even happens. That feeling is unforgettable. So let him feel it. Don't rush to soothe his insecurities. Don't erase every silence with reassurance. Allow him to sit in the tension of possibly losing you. Because in that tension, decisions are made. Either he steps forward with clarity, or he reveals he never deserved you at all. This is how confidence and scarcity intersect. It's how you transform from being an option to being the choice. It's how you create an environment where he must rise to meet you or drift away. Another key to this shift is realizing that the world does not revolve around whether or not a single man chooses you. It revolves around your own growth, your own passions, your own friendships and future. When you invest in these areas, your energy becomes rich and textured. You're not a blank canvas waiting to be painted. You're a vivid masterpiece already in motion. And that's where true magnetism lives, as not in the performance of confidence, but in the lived reality of independence. A man feels the difference between a woman who has built a meaningful life and a woman waiting to be rescued from hers. One signals, I can stand alone, but I welcome you in. The other signals, I need you to fill my emptiness. The first is irresistible. The second is draining. This independence also deepens your mystery. The less predictable your schedule, your reactions, your world, the more a man's curiosity grows. He wants to know what you're doing, who you're with, what you're creating. This curiosity fuels attraction because it disrupts the ordinary patterns of his life. Your mystery isn't about withholding affection or pretending to be busy. It's about genuinely being busy living. It's about real passions, real friendships, real goals. When he texts you, you're not sitting by the phone waiting. You're out building your world. That energy is magnetic because it's authentic. In this way, confidence, mystery, and scarcity weave together into a single fabric. They're not separate tricks. They're the natural expressions of a woman who knows her worth, guards her time, and builds a rich life. And in that fabric, desire takes root. Not the shallow desire born of manipulation, but the deep desire born of respect, fascination, and emotional pull. This is why the woman who chooses herself is unforgettable. Men may be drawn to beauty, to passion, to novelty, but the woman they cannot forget is the one who refuses to forget her own worth. She's the one who doesn't linger in the shadows of indecision. She steps forward, not as a plea but as a force of nature. When you live this way, the paradox unfolds. The moment you stop needing him to choose, you is the moment he feels the strongest pull to do exactly that. Because men are not drawn to emptiness. They are drawn to radiance, to the woman who shines in her own light, who stands firm in her own energy, who is not defined by whether or not he stays. As your confidence grows, so does your power to shape the dynamics of any connection. You no longer participate in relationships that diminish you. You no longer settle for half-hearted love. You no longer beg for scraps of attention. You become the chooser rather than the chosen. And that shift changes everything. It doesn't just alter how men respond to you. It alters how you respond to yourself. It rewires your expectations, your boundaries, and your sense of possibility. You stop asking, will he pick me? And start asking, does this situation nourish me? That single question moves you from a passive role into an active role, from waiting into creating. From here, the next step is to anchor this confidence into action, into daily choices, boundaries, and ways of living that make your worth tangible. Because it's one thing to understand these ideas intellectually. It's another to live them. In the next stage, we'll explore how to embody this in your everyday life so you naturally become the kind of woman who is not only desired but deeply respected and chosen. Confidence isn't just a feeling. It's a practice. It's a way of living each day that quietly communicates your value. You've seen how silence, mystery, and independence create space for desire. Now we move deeper into what it looks like to embody these ideas, to live them so fully that they're not strategies but your natural state. The first practice is reclaiming your time. Many women lose themselves by allowing every moment to be interrupted, rearranged, or sacrificed for someone else. They respond immediately to every message. They drop their plans at the hint of a man's availability. They shrink their schedules until there's nothing left that belongs purely to them. Over time, this erodes self-respect. It signals, to yourself and to others, that your life is an empty room waiting to be filled. To reverse this, you must begin to guard your calendar. Schedule your passions first. Fill your days with meaningful work, movement, friendships, and learning. Treat these activities as sacred, not optional. When a man wants your time, let him fit into your world instead of dismantling it. This isn't arrogance, It's healthy sovereignty. It tells him, and more importantly, yourself, that you are not a blank canvas but a living, breathing story already in progress. The second practice is emotional self-regulation. When a man pulls back, most people go into fight or flight mode. They text more, demand clarity, or spiral into worry. But the woman who embodies confidence practices a different response. She breathes. She grounds herself. She reminds herself that someone else's inconsistency does not define her worth. This pause alone transforms the dynamic. When you stay calm in the face of uncertainty, you project stability. Stability is rare. Stability is magnetic. In a world where so many people react, you become the person who responds. This steadiness creates a subtle gravitational pull. It allows the other person to feel safe enough to come closer, instead of feeling pressured to retreat. Another layer of embodiment is cultivating your own mystery, not as a tactic but as a byproduct of living a rich life. Mystery isn't about withholding affection or inventing drama. It's about allowing parts of yourself to unfold naturally over time. When you meet someone, you don't need to reveal every detail of your life story in the first few weeks. You don't need to explain every plan, every thought, every emotion. Hold some space. Let discovery happen slowly. This not only preserves your sense of individuality, but also creates anticipation. Anticipation is a close cousin of desire. When he doesn't know exactly what's next, he leans forward. He imagines. He wonders. He feels a spark. By pacing the unveiling of your inner world, you give him the gift of pursuit. And pursuit is what keeps desire alive. You also deepen your mystery by tending to aspects of your life that have nothing to do with him. Continue your hobbies, your friendships, your dreams. Travel alone. Learn new skills. Develop your inner world. These pursuits don't just fill your time. They enrich your energy. They make you more compelling because they show you're not static. You're evolving. People are drawn to those who are growing. A fourth practice is learning to tolerate someone else's discomfort. This may be the hardest. When you stop overgiving, when you stop being endlessly available, a man may feel unsettled. He may test boundaries or express frustration. This is normal. For years, he may have been accustomed to women who overextend themselves. When you don't, it forces him to step up or step away. Your role is not to rush in and soothe every ripple of discomfort. It's to let the discomfort do its work. This doesn't mean being cruel or cold. It means holding your ground with empathy but also with clarity. The discomfort is what prompts him to grow. Without it, he never has to rise. Fifth, embody your confidence in how you communicate. Speak clearly and directly about your needs, but without drama. Use I statements. Express boundaries as facts rather than threats. For example, instead of saying, "If you don't call me back, I'll never see you again," you might say, "I value communication. If that's not something you're interested in, that's okay, but it won't work for me." This clarity feels strong and calm. It shows you respect yourself enough to articulate your standards. Men may resist at first, but they deeply respect clear boundaries. Boundaries show that your attention is valuable, and that your emotions are not free for anyone to trample. They also filter out people who are only half interested. And while losing someone who isn't ready can sting, it's a blessing. It frees your energy for someone who is ready to meet you at your level. Sixth, remember that attraction and respect must coexist. Many people build attraction through mystery but lose respect by tolerating poor treatment. Others demand respect but forget to nurture desire. The power is in balancing both. Confidence, independence, and mystery stoke desire. Boundaries, standards, and self-respect maintain it. If you find yourself slipping into old patterns, chasing, over-explaining, shrinking, pause and reconnect to your body. Breathe. Ask yourself, if I already knew my worth beyond question, what would I do right now? Then act from that place. This simple question can shift you instantly from reaction to leadership in your own life. Seventh, become the woman who chooses herself daily. This means making decisions from self-value, not from fear. It means saying yes to opportunities even if he might disapprove. It means saying no to invitations that drain you, even if they promise closeness. It means honoring your own energy before you offer it to anyone else. Choosing yourself is not selfish. It's the only way to offer authentic love. Love without self-respect becomes dependency. Self-respect without love becomes isolation. But when you combine self-respect with genuine affection, you create a relationship dynamic where both people are free, both people are growing, and both people are drawn toward each other rather than bound by fear. When you practice these habits, something subtle but powerful happens. Your value becomes visible without words. You don't have to announce it. You don't have to convince anyone. People feel it. They sense it in your posture, your tone, your priorities. This embodied energy is what leaves a lasting impression. Long after conversations fade, long after the novelty wears off, the memory of how you carried yourself remains. He remembers the way you didn't collapse when he pulled away. He remembers the way you smiled and went on with your life. He remembers the way you held your ground with grace. This is why some people linger in our minds long after they're gone. It's not because of what they said. It's because of how they made us feel about ourselves. And when you embody confidence, independence, and mystery, you create a field where a man feels inspired, challenged, and alive. He begins to crave not just your attention, but the version of himself he becomes when he's around you. Yet here's the most important truth. You're not doing this to get him. You're doing it to become the fullest version of yourself. Whether or not he steps up, you've already won. You've reclaimed your time, your energy, and your self-respect. You're building a life that feels rich and meaningful on its own. Any partner who enters that life is a complement, not a savior. This orientation frees you. It shifts you from scarcity to abundance. It moves you from, I hope he picks me, to I choose what aligns with me. It also softens you. Because when you're grounded in self-worth, you don't need to posture or punish. You can be warm, open, and generous because you're no longer afraid of losing yourself. In this way, your energy becomes paradoxical. Both soft and strong. Both warm and self-possessed. Men, and people in general, are irresistibly drawn to this combination. They feel safe enough to approach, but challenged enough to grow. This is the space where real relationships thrive. Finally, know that this is an ongoing practice. Confidence isn't something you achieve once and then keep forever. It's a daily decision. Some days you'll wobble. Some days you'll overgive. Some days you'll doubt. That's normal. What matters is that you return to yourself again and again. Each time you choose yourself over chasing, each time you honor your boundaries, each time you stay grounded in your life rather than orbiting his, you strengthen the muscle of self-respect. And over time, that muscle becomes second nature. By living this way, you're not only creating the conditions for a man to step up, you're also creating the conditions for your own evolution. You're becoming someone whose love is a gift, not a plea. Someone whose presence is an invitation, not a trap. Someone who, even if she walks away, leaves a fragrance of self-worth behind her. This is the quiet power that no vow, no paper, no rival can compete with. It's the power of a woman who knows she is rare, who knows she is whole, who knows she is enough. From here, the final piece is integration. How to let all of this transform your relationships, your choices, and your identity so completely that you never return to old patterns. In the last part, we'll explore how choosing yourself day after day not only draws the right man, but also reshapes your entire life into something luminous and free. Integration is where everything becomes real. You've explored silence, mystery, independence, confidence, and the power of choosing yourself. Now it's time to weave these strands into a way of living that not only changes how men respond to you, but also elevates how you experience your entire life. Integration begins with a decision to stop measuring your worth by who stays or who goes. Most people, without realizing it, build their identity around their relationships. They feel secure only when someone is validating them, when someone's attention proves their value. But the deepest shift comes when you detach your sense of worth from anyone else's actions. This detachment is not coldness, it's freedom. It allows you to love without clinging, to give without losing yourself, and to stay rooted even when circumstances change. When you're no longer enslaved to the hope of being chosen, you're free to actually choose, not just partners, but experiences, opportunities, and environments that align with who you are. Living this way changes the quality of your presence. You become less reactive, more intentional. You stop rushing to fill silences with reassurances or explanations. You stop bending yourself to fit someone's comfort zone. Instead, you stand firmly in your own energy and let the world adjust. This is where men start to see you differently. They feel the difference between someone who is auditioning for their approval and someone who is already starring in her own life. They sense the risk of losing you, not because you're playing games, but because you're genuinely living. And that sense of risk creates a powerful urgency to rise to your level. But here's the key. You're not waiting for them to rise. You're moving forward regardless. This forward motion is your greatest power. It's what keeps your energy fresh, your mystery alive, and your self-respect intact. A life that keeps expanding is naturally magnetic. It invites the right people to join and naturally filters out those who aren't aligned. Think of your life as a river. When it's stagnant, people feel they can wade in and out without consequence. But when it's flowing, it carries its own momentum. It sweeps away debris. It invites only those who are ready to move with its current. That's what your energy becomes when you integrate everything we've discussed. Another aspect of integration is emotional consistency. People who overgive and overchase often experience wild emotional swings, elation when they receive attention, despair when they don't. Integration stabilizes you. Your moods become less dependent on someone else's behavior. You begin to experience a steady baseline of self-acceptance. From this baseline, your highs and lows are gentler. This steadiness feels different to others. They don't sense neediness or volatility. They sense calm magnetism. They feel both welcomed and challenged. They start to associate you with relief, clarity, and inspiration rather than pressure or chaos. Integration also shows up in how you handle intimacy. When you've chosen yourself, you don't rush to give every part of your heart or body. You allow intimacy to unfold gradually. You create a rhythm where closeness alternates with space. This rhythm is natural. It mirrors the breathing of desire. An inhale of approach, an exhale of retreat. Many people fear this space, thinking it signals rejection. In reality, it strengthens connection. It gives both partners time to miss each other, reflect, and return renewed. It prevents the saturation that kills passion. By embodying this rhythm, you allow desire to stay alive long after the initial spark. Integration also requires honesty and with yourself first. You can't build a life of self-respect on self-deception. If you know deep down a situation isn't good for you, no amount of mystery or confidence will make it healthy. Choosing yourself sometimes means walking away. It sometimes means ending the fantasy. But this honesty liberates your energy to find what truly aligns. As you practice these principles, you may notice a shift in who approaches you. Some men will be intrigued but intimidated. Some will test your boundaries. Others will rise to meet you in ways that surprise you. All of this is feedback. You're no longer living on autopilot. You're curating your life. You're shaping your experiences with intention. There's also a spiritual dimension to this. When you choose yourself, you send a signal to life itself. I am ready for more. You open the door for new opportunities, new friendships, and new love stories that match your growth. You stop trying to drag people into your world and instead magnetize those who resonate with your frequency. This isn't mystical hype. It's a natural result of your changed behavior, priorities, and energy. Another key to integration is self-celebration. Many women wait to celebrate themselves until a man affirms them. Integration flips this. You affirm yourself first. You praise your own growth. You acknowledge your own achievements. You treat yourself with the same reverence you've been trained to give others. This self-acknowledgement strengthens your inner authority and makes you less susceptible to crumbs of validation. Celebrate small wins. The day you didn't text back in panic. The evening you chose your plans over waiting for him. The moment you spoke a boundary calmly. Each of these is a brick in the foundation of your new life. Over time, these bricks form a home of self-respect so solid that no storm can knock it down. Integration also involves forgiveness, especially of yourself. You will slip. You will sometimes overgive, overthink, or overreach. That's okay. Confidence is not perfection. It's resilience. It's the willingness to return to your center without shame. The kinder you are to yourself during setbacks, the faster you'll grow. As you integrate all this, you'll notice a paradoxical freedom. You no longer need to control outcomes. You no longer need to manipulate circumstances to feel safe. You can relax into your own life, knowing that the right people will recognize and value you without coercion. This relaxation changes your body language, your tone, and your aura. You smile more. You breathe deeper. You make eye contact with ease. You start to radiate the quiet confidence of someone who has nothing to prove. This is the state from which healthy, lasting love can emerge. At this stage, the question, "Will he choose me?" dissolves. It's replaced by, "Is this mutual? Does this support my growth? Does this bring joy?" You're no longer waiting for a verdict. You're co-creating a reality. And in that co-creation, only those who truly respect and value you will remain. This is also where your magnetism peaks. Because when you're not trying to be chosen, your natural essence shines. You laugh more freely. You speak with more authenticity. You express affection without fear because you're not bargaining with it. You give love because it overflows from you, not because you're hoping to earn it back. Attraction born from this place is different. It's not frantic. It's not unstable. It's deep, mutual, and resilient. It has room for growth, for friendship, for passion, for respect. It's a relationship between two whole people, not two halves seeking completion. And if he doesn't rise to meet you, you still win, because you haven't sacrificed yourself. You haven't lost your time or your dignity. You haven't eroded your confidence to fit someone else's comfort. Instead, you've built a life so rich and meaningful that no rejection can diminish it. This is the ultimate power shift. The woman who chooses herself is unforgettable. Not just because she's mysterious or confident, but because she's free. Freedom is magnetic. Freedom signals abundance. Freedom allows you to love without clinging, to give without losing, and to walk away without bitterness. Imagine living like this day after day. You wake up excited for your own life. You move through the world with purpose. When you meet someone, it's an addition, not an escape. When you offer affection, it's generous, not desperate. When you set a boundary, it's calm, not dramatic. Every interaction becomes lighter, clearer, more honest. And here's the quiet secret. Men, and people in general, crave this energy. It's rare. It's unforgettable. It awakens them in ways they can't articulate. They may not even know why they keep thinking about you, but it's because you embody the balance of independence and warmth, mystery and clarity, softness and strength. This is the point of everything we've explored, to help you become not someone's option but your own priority. To help you build a life where love enhances your freedom instead of replacing it. To help you trust that choosing yourself is not a risk, but a reward. So if you've ever felt trapped between someone's promises and their distance, know this. You don't have to wait. You don't have to beg. You don't have to convince. The power is already in your hands. Each day you choose your own growth, your own worth, your own joy. You're already becoming the woman who is unforgettable. Not because of how loudly she demands it, but because of how quietly she lives it. And when you stand in that energy, the right man will not hesitate. He will not delay. He will not risk losing you. He will see you clearly and act. And if he doesn't, you will still be whole, radiant, and free, living a life that is bigger than any single relationship. This is the truth that no one can take from you. This is the mark you leave. Deeper than vows, deeper than promises, deeper than logic. It's the mark of a woman who chooses herself and, in doing so, becomes unforgettable. Thanks for watching. If this video resonated with you, go ahead and hit subscribe and tap the bell so you never miss the next video. I upload fresh videos every week on confidence, relationship advice, attraction, and self-growth. And each one goes even deeper than the last. Want more right now? Just click the video on your screen or check the link in the description to watch the next part of this series. And if you know someone who could use this message, share it with them. It might change their life. Remember, the journey starts with you, and we're here to grow together. Subscribe now, and I'll see you in the next video.